Hey everyone, welcome back to round 3 of B3 strength training. As always, thanks so much for joining us. If you haven't already, make sure you get in a good warm-up before you start this workout. If you haven't joined us yet for an outdoor workout and you don't know what to do to warm up, please feel free to go ahead and reach out to us and we'll give you some ideas. But let's get started. As always, remember that we can do either 3 rounds for 30 seconds or 3 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions of each of these. So, round 1. What that's going to include is a forward, backward, side to side pogo, okay? And if you remember, pogos aren't big knee movements, it's small little movements from our ankles. And the second thing it's going to include is a march with a cross body reach. So here they are. The first thing is the pogo. So you're going, remember, your ankles are really your shock absorbers here. So you're going to go, and you're going to go forward, backward, side, side. Forward, backward, side, side. Okay? And you're going to repeat that. The second thing you're going to do is this march with a cross body reach. So what that is, up, reach across, and then come back. And then the opposite side, cross and come back, and you'll just repeat that. So go ahead, give them a shot, and we'll move on to round 2. Okay, so for round 2, we are using the block, and then we will also be getting on the floor. The 2 exercises we are going to do here are a forward step down, and then we are going to do a modified side plank with what we would consider hip flexion and extension. So here's what they'll look like. And remember, 3 rounds of 30 seconds or 3 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions for each of these. The forward step down, what we're really looking for, okay, you can actually do it with the block turned the opposite direction. So if we turn it this way, okay, your foot will have a little bit more stable space. What we're looking for is to actually go ahead and you are not necessarily shifting your hips too far back, but we are looking for you to go down to the floor and back up. Okay? Just like that. So that's exercise number 1. If we're to do exercise number 2, this is what it will look like. I'm going to go ahead and get on the floor. I get in my modified side plank position, so that's on my knees. And what I typically look for is basically my elbow and my knees to be in the same plane a little bit. And what I will do is I will lift up here. When I say flexion extension, the top leg is going to raise up. You're moving that leg up and kind of back to where it started. Just like that. Okay? They're difficult, but give them a shot and let us know how they go, and we'll move on to round 3. All right, so on to round 3. As we have been saying the entire time, 3 sets, 10 to 15 repetitions, or 3 rounds of 30 seconds, whatever you prefer. You have 2 options here. The first one, okay, for your first exercise of this round is going to be, okay, 2 feet on the block, arms up in the air, and you are just going to raise up. If you're looking for something that's a little more difficult, you're basically just going to raise one leg up or put it straight out, and you're going to lift up there. Okay, so just like this. Okay, the second one that you will do here is going to be a lateral lunge up to basically a march position. So what you're going to do, you'll start almost in the march. You'll come down, go into the lunge, and then come back up. So we're working on some balance here. So we're going to go into the lunge, right? Push your butt backwards. And then off this leg, we're going to drive back up, right through there. Give those a shot. If you need to modify, a simple little lunge will suffice. Okay? And we'll move on to round 4. All right, last round of week 3. This time around, we are going to work on a deadlift, and then we are going to get on the ground and do a core exercise called the dead bug, okay? So what we're gonna do first is you're gonna work this kind of deadlift with the block. If you don't feel comfortable, we can just simply work on a hip hinge. If a normal deadlift with the block is too easy, we can go ahead and turn it into what I would call like a B stance deadlift, so you're staggered. But if you don't know what a deadlift is, basically when you deadlift, your hips stay above your knees, but I'm basically saying karate chopping at your hips, right? And you keep a nice and flat back, and then you squeeze your butt and you pull on up, okay? So we're doing what they call a Romanian deadlift. So we're not going and bending our knees so much. We are literally working from the hips, okay? And then working here. So for me, the block's a little tall, but for many of you, it'll be just fine. If I were to do it with the block, what it would look like, the block is very much so in between my feet. I go ahead, push my hips back, okay? See, my knees aren't bending too much. I push my hips back. I keep my back nice and flat, okay? And then all of a sudden I pull through my glutes and I return to standing, okay? And then I do the same thing on the way down. Push my hips back, my knees are slightly bent, and I return it to the floor, okay? If you're looking to do it without the block, simply knees a little bent, pushing the hip hinge. If you're looking for a little bit more of a challenge, you can go ahead and do the B stance, which basically is a staggered stance, as you can see. You're here, this leg will be behind the block. You come down, slightly bent here, and then you pull up and push down. Okay, so that's exercise number 1 with a lot of variations, but give them a shot. And last but not least, why not relax on the ground a little bit? Here's what we call a dead bug, okay? I'm gonna have you lie on the ground, okay? I'm gonna have everybody start in an up position, okay? So right about here at 90 degrees, arms at 90 degrees, your alternating arm and leg are moving away from each other, okay? So what it will look like, okay, and we can do 2 different versions. We'll do the bent leg version first, is we're gonna work here, and then we'll switch. Okay, if we wanna get a little bit more difficult, we then go ahead and extend the leg all the way. Okay, so give these a shot, and that is a wrap for week 4, or round 4, week 3 of B3 strength training.